line. I never thought I would be writing something like this, but here we are. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what happened, and I need some outside perspective because this feels like living in a strange alternate reality. Let me start at the beginning. My ex-boyfriend, Caleb, and I dated for 2 years. We broke up 8 months ago because he was immature and we wanted different things. I'm 26, he's 28. And while I was thinking about settling down and maybe starting a family one day, he was still in party mode and unable to commit to anything serious. The breakup was amicable. We did not fight. We just realized we were not compatible long term. After we split, we stayed connected on social media but did not really talk. You know how it goes. You don't want to completely cut someone off when things ended without drama, but you also do not want to be reminded of them constantly. I would see his posts now and then, and he would like some of mine. Pretty standard post-breakup social media behavior. About 4 months ago, Caleb started dating a woman named Maria. I only knew because she followed me on Instagram. I thought that was a little odd, but people sometimes follow their partner's exes out of curiosity. I did not follow back because that felt awkward, but I didn't block her either. Then Maria began commenting on my posts. They were not mean. In fact, they were overly friendly and supportive, which confused me. If I posted a photo of my morning coffee, she would write something like, "You have such great taste. Hope you're having a wonderful day." If I posted about a hiking trip, she wrote, "So inspiring. Love seeing strong women living their best lives." It was strange, not in a bad way. I figured maybe she was just a bubbly person who commented on everything, or maybe she was trying to be the cool girlfriend who gets along with her boyfriend's ex. I mostly ignored the comments, though my friends pointed out how unusual it was. The comments that really bothered me started when I shared photos from my nephew Tyler's sixth birthday party 3 months ago. My sister had asked me to help plan it, and I was very involved. Tyler and I are extremely close. Since my sister works long hours as a nurse, I babysit him often, attend his school events, and am like a second mom. I posted a series of photos from his party, and in one, Tyler and I blew out candles together. In another, he opened presents on my lap. The caption said something like, "Best day ever, celebrating this amazing little guy, so proud to be his auntie." That is when Maria left a comment that shocked me. She wrote, "This is so beautiful. I admire your co-parenting journey so much. Tyler is lucky to have such dedicated parents who put his happiness first, even after everything you've been through. You and Caleb are incredible for maintaining such a healthy dynamic for his sake." I stared at that comment for 5 minutes, trying to process it. Co-parenting? Caleb and I never had kids. We did not even talk about children when we dated. How did she know Tyler's name? I had tagged my sister and clearly mentioned in the caption that he was my nephew. At first, I thought Maria misunderstood. Maybe Caleb told her I was close with my nephew and she got confused. I did not reply, but the comments stuck in my head. Over the next few weeks, Maria left similar comments on every post that included Tyler. If I shared a picture of us at a baseball game, she praised our mature and respectful co-parenting. If I posted us baking cookies, she said how seamless our custody transition seemed to be. At that point, I was not only confused, I was irritated. I began screenshotting the comments to show my friends. My best friend Emma said, She clearly thinks you and Caleb share a child. Someone needs to set her straight. So I decided to investigate. I made a fake Instagram account and requested to follow both Caleb and Maria. Caleb accepted quickly. His account was mostly public anyway. When I looked through his posts, I felt sick. Over the past few months, he had been reposting my photos of Tyler on his Instagram stories, cropping them and adding captions that completely changed the context. The birthday photo of Tyler and me blowing out candles, Caleb reposted it with, "Nothing makes me happier than seeing my boy this excited on his special day." The baseball game picture of Tyler and me in matching jerseys, Caleb captioned it, "Teaching him America's pastime. These are the moments I live for." The cookie photo became "Sunday baking sessions with my little chef. He's getting so good at this." Scrolling through his highlights, I saw months of this. Every picture I had shared with Tyler, Caleb had taken and reframed to make it look like Tyler was his son. Sometimes parts of me were in the photos, but Caleb cropped them to make it seem like he was the one there with Tyler. Then I found the worst one. On his feed was a photo I had never seen before. It took me a moment to realize he had photoshopped himself into one of my park pictures of Tyler. The editing was sloppy if you look closely, but at first glance, it appeared like a father-son photo. The caption made me feel physically ill. He wrote about the struggles of co-parenting, how he and his ex had set aside differences for Tyler's happiness, how grateful he was for their teamwork. People flooded the comments with praise, calling him a devoted father and role model. That is when everything clicked. Maria believed his story. She thought Tyler was Caleb's son, and she thought I was the ex he was co-parenting with. Her supportive comments on my posts suddenly made sense. She was trying to show respect for this supposed arrangement. I was furious. Caleb had stolen my nephew's image to fabricate a fatherhood story. He was deceiving his girlfriend and dozens of other people. He had never even met Tyler, and he was pulling me into this lie without my knowledge. I immediately called my sister. She was livid. She said Tyler had recently mentioned Mommy's friend Caleb, which had confused her since he had never met Caleb. We realized Tyler must have seen the posts on her phone or computer and assumed Caleb was part of his life. That made us both furious and terrified. My sister wanted to storm over and confront him, but I convinced her to let me handle it. We agreed Caleb had to delete everything and stop using Tyler's photos. Beyond that, I was unsure what to do. I debated confronting Caleb directly or exposing him publicly. Part of me wanted to call him out in his comments, but I also did not want to create drama. I kept thinking about Maria. She was clearly deceived and deserved to know the truth. I also wondered about Caleb's motivations. Was he just trying to look good online? Was it about impressing Maria? Or was there something deeper? I remembered how insecure he felt about his family. His older brother had a baby around the time we broke up, and Caleb had seemed jealous of all the praise his brother received. Maybe this was his way of competing, but even if I understood the pressure, it did not excuse using a 6-year-old child in lies. After debating for a day, I decided Maria needed to know. I sent her a direct message explaining everything with screenshots, comparing Caleb's post to my originals. I told her Tyler was my nephew, not my son, and Caleb had never even met him. I made it clear Caleb's whole devoted father persona was fabricated. Maria responded quickly. She was shocked and upset. She admitted she had bragged to friends and family about dating such a mature man and told her parents how impressed she was with his commitment as a father. She thanked me for telling her the truth and apologized for her earlier comments. She said she needed time to process everything. Now I'm stuck. Maria said she would confront him, which means he will probably realize I exposed him. Part of me wants to demand that he publicly admit his lies and apologize, but another part just wants him to quietly delete everything and leave us alone. My sister is considering legal action since Caleb used Tyler's photos without permission. We are unsure if we have grounds to pursue it, but the possibility is on the table. I also keep questioning whether I handled it correctly. Should I have confronted Caleb before telling Maria? Was it wrong to expose him through his girlfriend? Part of me feels he deserved it, but part of me wonders if I should have walked away since we are no longer together. The thing that disturbs me most is how many people saw his posts and believed them. He got hundreds of likes and dozens of comments praising his maturity and devotion. People were holding him up as an example of healthy co-parenting. The whole thing feels twisted. So here I am wondering what my next steps should be. Am I overreacting? Or is Caleb's behavior as messed up as it feels? What would you do in my situation? Update 1. It has been 3 days since I messaged Maria, and things have only gotten more complicated. I wanted to give you all an update since so many people were invested in this situation. First, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. Reading the responses helped me feel less crazy and confirm that Caleb's behavior was as messed up as I thought. Many of you suggested documenting everything, so I have been taking screenshots of his posts in case he deletes them. The day after I reached out to Maria, Caleb called me. I almost ignored it, but decided to pick up and get it over with. He was furious. I expected him to at least defend himself or make excuses, but instead he immediately started yelling. He accused me of ruining his relationship, destroying his reputation, and being jealous that he had moved on. He was acting like I was the one who had done something wrong. When I brought up that he was using photos of my nephew without permission and lying about being a father, he argued that since the photos were on my public Instagram, he had every right to use them. He claimed he never explicitly said Tyler was his son, so he had not lied. I told him that his captions and context clearly implied that Tyler was his child and that we were co-parenting, but he insisted people made their own assumptions. The most disturbing part was when he said he had been helping me out. According to him, his posts made me look like I was in a successful co-parenting relationship. He acted like he was doing me a favor by pretending we had figured out mature co-parenting. I was so shocked by the twisted logic that I hung up on him. Not long after, I started receiving messages from some of Caleb's friends and family. He had told them I was harassing him and his new girlfriend out of jealousy and that I was spreading lies online. Several people sent me nasty messages telling me to move on and stop causing drama. What really hurt was getting a message from Caleb's mum. I had always gotten along with her, but she said she was disappointed in me for trying to destroy her son's happiness. Clearly, Caleb had painted me as the villain. I decided to send her screenshots of his posts alongside my original photos, calmly explaining the situation. I asked if she thought it was appropriate for him to use photos of my 6-year-old nephew to pretend he was a father. She never replied, but within hours, all of Caleb's posts featuring Tyler were deleted. Maria also reached out again. She said she confronted Caleb and his reaction was even worse than with me. At first, he tried to gaslight her by saying she misunderstood and that he never claimed Tyler was his son. When she showed him screenshots, he finally admitted it but minimized what he had done. He said he only created the post because he was proud of the father figure role he played in Tyler's life. This was complete nonsense since he had never even met my nephew. Maria said it was like talking to someone living in an alternate reality. The breaking point came when Caleb told her she was being dramatic and that people exaggerate on social media all the time. He said if she cared about him, she would support him, instead of making a big deal about harmless posts. That night, she broke up with him. I feel bad for Maria. She seems like a genuinely kind person who was deceived by someone she trusted. She told me she had bragged to her parents about Caleb being such a devoted father, and now she has to explain that he was essentially catfishing her with fake fatherhood. Meanwhile, my sister started investigating. She found that Caleb had been following Tyler's school's social media and had liked several group photos from school events. He also tried to follow some of my family members on Instagram, including my parents and other sister. None of them accepted, but it was unsettling that he was trying to get more access to photos of Tyler. The worst discovery was a Pinterest board Caleb made called Father Son Activities. He had saved ideas for baseball games, cooking projects, camping trips, and other activities for kids Tyler's age. It was like he had created an entire fantasy world where he was Tyler's dad and was planning their future together. My sister is now considering involving the police or consulting a lawyer. She's worried Caleb's behavior might cross into stalking or harassment involving a minor. I do not know if what he did is technically illegal, but it feels like a serious violation. Some people in the comments on my last post suggested publicly exposing Caleb by commenting on his posts or making my own post about him. I've been tempted, especially after he turned his friends and family against me, but I worry about escalating things further. Now that the posts are gone and Maria knows the truth, I'm hoping he will leave my family alone. Still, I am struggling to process how someone I dated for 2 years could create such an elaborate lie. Caleb was always immature and non-committal, but I never imagined this level of deception. It makes me question everything about our relationship and wonder what else he lied about. I also feel guilty for not catching this sooner. If I had paid closer attention to his social media or taken Maria's comments more seriously at the start, I might have stopped it months ago. Tyler has not been directly affected since he does not really understand social media yet. But it makes me sick that Caleb was using his image to deceive people. I keep thinking about what could have happened if this had gone on longer. For now, I'm hoping this is the end. Caleb deleted the posts, Maria knows the truth, and maybe he has learned his lesson. Still, I cannot shake the feeling that this might not be over. Update 2. I cannot believe I'm writing another update to this already insane story, but things have taken such a wild turn that I need to share what happened. It has been 3 days since my last update, and I genuinely do not know whether to laugh or cry anymore. Remember how I mentioned that Caleb had a Pinterest board full of father-son activity ideas? That turned out to be just the beginning. My sister kept digging after finding that account, and what she discovered was so much worse. She found that Caleb had created multiple fake social media accounts. Not only Instagram, but also Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. On all of them, he presented himself as a devoted single father, co-parenting with his mature, understanding ex-girlfriend. The TikTok account was the most disturbing. Caleb had been making videos where he gave advice about co-parenting after a breakup and talked about fatherhood challenges. He had thousands of followers praising him as an amazing dad. He never showed Tyler's face but used specific details stolen from my posts about my nephew. One video about helping his son with a school project on space got over 50,000 views. That project had actually been Tyler's, and I had posted about it weeks earlier. Caleb was recycling my experiences as if they were his own parenting stories. Then my sister found something even worse. Caleb had created a GoFundMe page titled, "Help Tyler and his dad create memories." He claimed he was a young single father working hard to provide for his son and needed help to take him on a father-son camping trip. The page included stolen photos of Tyler, some cropped to make it look like Caleb was the one with him. He raised over $3,000 from strangers who thought they were helping a devoted dad. When I saw the page, I actually threw up. This was no longer just about lies on social media. He was scamming people for money using my nephew's image. We immediately called the police and filed a report. The officer we spoke to was very helpful and said this could be considered fraud, identity theft involving a minor, and possibly harassment. He told us to document everything and said they would investigate. Before we were even done speaking with police, something else happened. I got a call from a woman named Lisa who said Maria had given her my number. Lisa explained that she had been talking to Caleb for 6 weeks after meeting him on a dating app. His profile featured photos with Tyler and described him as a devoted single dad. Lisa, who has 2 kids of her own, found that appealing. She and Caleb had gone on 3 dates and he constantly talked about his son Tyler. He even suggested that Lisa should introduce her kids to Tyler soon so they could spend time together as a potential blended family. Lisa only discovered the truth when she followed Caleb on Instagram and recognized photos from Maria's comments. When Maria reached out to her, Lisa was devastated. But Lisa was not the only one. Maria, after breaking up with Caleb, had been investigating on her own. She found evidence that Caleb had been talking to at least 4 different women on dating apps. While using Tyler's photos and the same fake father story, each woman thought she was dating a devoted single dad. Maria contacted 2 of them and their stories matched. Caleb had told them fake anecdotes about Tyler, shared cropped photos, and talked about looking for someone who could be a positive influence in his son's life. One woman, Rebecca, had even bought Tyler a birthday present based on interests Caleb had mentioned. Another, Michelle, had been reading step parenting blogs because she believed she would soon be meeting his son. I felt sick knowing how many people Caleb had manipulated using my nephew's identity. These women had made real emotional investments in a man who did not exist. The police investigation moved quickly once we gave them the evidence. The GoFundMe was shut down within 24 hours and Caleb was ordered to return the money. The detective told us Caleb could face charges for wire fraud, identity theft, and misuse of a minor's likeness for financial gain. During this time, Caleb tried to contact me several times. His voicemails shifted between angry accusations and desperate apologies. In one, he blamed me for posting too many photos of Tyler publicly and said I should have known someone might get confused. And in another, he cried and begged me not to press charges. The most disturbing message was when he claimed he had developed real feelings for Tyler through my posts, and that he felt like he actually was Tyler's father figure. He said he knew Tyler better than most people because he had followed his life so closely online. My sister and I filed for a restraining order to protect Tyler and the rest of our family. The judge granted it immediately after reviewing the evidence. Caleb is now legally barred from contacting us or posting anything featuring Tyler. Then something even stranger happened. Caleb's ex-girlfriend from before I dated him reached out. Her name is Amanda, and she told me Caleb had pulled a similar stunt with her younger brother. He had been using photos of her 8-year-old brother to make posts about being a big brother figure, and even told friends the child was his little brother. She thought it was just a weird phase at the time, but now realizes it was part of a larger pattern. Amanda also said Caleb was always obsessed with appearing mature and family oriented. He lied about wanting kids and researched child development so he could sound knowledgeable about parenting. Apparently, this pattern goes back years. I am starting to realize Caleb has serious psychological issues. This was not a one-time mistake. He has been systematically deceiving women and using children's images to create fake lives for himself. Right now, we are waiting to hear from the prosecutor's office about charges. The detective thinks Caleb will likely take a plea deal because the evidence is overwhelming. My sister and I are also considering a civil lawsuit to make sure he never does anything like this again. I never thought a relationship problem would turn into a criminal case, but here we are. Tyler does not really understand what has happened, which is a relief. But my sister and I have completely changed our approach to social media. We are much more cautious about what we post publicly. The entire experience has been exhausting and traumatic. Realizing that someone you once dated is capable of such elaborate deception is difficult to process. Still, I am glad we discovered the truth before Caleb could hurt more people or involve Tyler further. I will post one more update once the legal process is resolved, but hopefully this nightmare is almost over. Update 3. Final update on this insane situation. It has been 4 days since my last post, and I wanted to give everyone closure on how this ended. Caleb was officially charged with wire fraud, identity theft involving a minor, and harassment. Our case was not the only one. After Maria contacted the other women, two more filed police reports. Caleb took a plea deal that gave him 2 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, restitution to all GoFundMe donors, mandatory counseling, and a ban on social media without court approval. The restraining order was also made permanent for 3 years. The most shocking part happened 2 days ago when a local news producer contacted me about doing a story on social media deception. At first, I said no because I wanted to protect Tyler's privacy, but they agreed to tell the story without showing his face or using his name. My sister and I decided it might help others recognize the warning signs, so we agreed. The segment aired yesterday, and my phone blew up with messages from people who had gone through something similar. I had no idea how common this kind of deception was until I heard their stories. The most surprising message came from Caleb's cousin. She said she had been suspicious of his sudden fatherhood posts but had not wanted to stir up family drama. Caleb had even brought printed copies of fake father-son photos to a family reunion last month and showed them around, telling stories about Tyler. He asked relatives for parenting advice and even accepted toys and clothes for Tyler. His grandmother had knitted a Christmas sweater for him. The family believed Caleb had turned into a devoted father. What truly scared me was learning that Caleb had been planning to bring Tyler to their annual 4th of July barbecue. He'd been telling relatives how excited he was for them to meet his son. I cannot imagine what his plan was. Would he have tried to kidnap my nephew? Or somehow convince my sister to let Tyler attend? The thought is terrifying. The news story also brought out even more women. It turns out the original four were only part of the picture. Over the past year, Caleb has been on multiple dating platforms with different versions of his fake single father persona. One woman, Jennifer, had been in a long-distance relationship with Caleb for 3 months. He sent her daily updates and photos about Tyler's activities, building up a bond with a child who did not even know she existed. She developed real emotional attachments to Tyler, thinking she was part of his life. Another woman, Kate, had helped plan what she thought was Tyler's birthday party. She spent weeks researching themes, and even offered to contribute money for decorations. The emotional fallout for these women has been devastating. They are questioning their judgment, their ability to trust, and their sense of reality. Caleb's lies did not just deceive them, they also caused lasting damage to their confidence in future relationships. I also learned more about Caleb's past from his brother, who reached out to apologize for their family's initial reaction when they thought I was the problem. He explained that Caleb had always struggled with feelings of inadequacy compared to family members who were married and raising children. There had been pressure on him to settle down, and he seemed desperate to live up to that image. His brother also revealed that Caleb had been seeing a therapist for self-esteem issues and something called difficulty with reality testing. He was fired from his job 6 months ago after lying on his resume and creating fake references. That explained how he had the time to maintain all these fake social media accounts and personas. As for Tyler, he still does not understand what happened, which is a relief. My sister and I have tightened all of our social media privacy settings and have become extremely careful about what we share online. We have also started teaching Tyler simple online safety habits in an age-appropriate way, so he learns early that not everything he sees or hears about himself online is real. It feels unfair to have to explain these things to a 6-year-old, but it also feels necessary now. This entire experience has been exhausting and traumatic. I never imagined that someone I once dated would be capable of creating such an elaborate web of lies and manipulation. But I am grateful we uncovered it before Caleb could cause more damage. What has stood out most in the past few days is how much support poured in after the news aired. People from all over shared similar experiences and offered encouragement. It reminded me that while some people can be shockingly deceptive, others are willing to come together and support strangers through difficult times. I have received messages from parents, teachers, and even law enforcement officers thanking me for sharing our story because it raised awareness about how far digital deception can go. This nightmare taught me that deception can run much deeper than I ever imagined. But it also showed me that even in the worst situations, people are willing to help, listen, and believe you. For that, I am thankful. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.